Welcome to our mission trip to the Tumbuka tribes of Malawi, February 2014. Meet our team of 14 men and women led by Ebert from Ontario. This is Giff, a truck driver. He was also one instructor teaching teenager boys and also look after people with skin problems. This is Malawi. Lilongwe is the capital in the middle of the country, and the base is at Mzuzu, 4 hours north. We were on the west side on our mission trip. And if you see by this map, we were about 60 kilometers away from Nzimba. It was a 5-hour drive to get there. Once we arrive in the village, there are formalities. We are introduced by either a chief or the schoolmaster to the chief of the tribes or to the PTA, school teachers, and other officials. While that's taking place after that, we are introducing ourselves to the people of the village. Once finished, Anna will start to address the village, while some of us would unload the truck, put up the tents in the classrooms, unload food for lunch, unload all the material that would be taught that day. Anna at this point will start to share with the village, asking them what you expect us to do for you. And many people in the village would say, well, you are from a different countries. Maybe you could build a school for us. You could, build a church, drill another well for us, and many other needs. But she said to them, but how that's going to be paid? Well, you got money, they would say. And she says, but what about you? Oh, we don't have any money. They said, let me show you something. And then she will proceed to show them with 15 cents a day per family what would accumulate for the villages. And it's astonished the thousands of dollars if everybody get 15 cents a day at the end of the year. But they would say, but we have no money. Then she would ask, how many people here drink beer? Again, astonished, they would say, well, so a few of us. And by the time you finish asking everybody, the average between 7 and 8 out of 10 of each village drink beer. I'm talking about the man here. So by the time you start to calculate that the average spend $1.50 a day to $2 drinking beer, 15 cents is nothing. And then she will proceed to show them what they could do with that. After she does that and ask permission of the men if they want to change, she asks them to meet them somewhere else. And there's always a great number of men who says, we want to change. We want to help our families. We want to help our village. Show us how. And then she would take them aside and teach them, according to God's way, how to be accountable to each other, to save money, and stop drinking. And that's what she does. While she's doing that, then we start to take the kids apart in the school room or into the church most of the time because there's too many of them, and we show them the Jesus film for the kids version. While they are teaching to the teenager boys and teenager girls, the boys are taught at this point by Boyd, and Catherine will teach the girls about their life as teenagers, about sex, about AIDS, and teaching that they need to know that they don't hear at school. Once they finish with the men and the accountability group, then we get the men back together with the women, and then we have Uta and Alvin teaching them how to walk as men and women of God and as parents. It's very powerful teaching. Meantime, if the village needs their well to be fixed, some member of the team will go and fix the well, or some member of the team might meet with the borehole committee to find out if they need spare parts or other things. Meantime, as I told you before, when Anna starts to address the village, we download the truck. One thing we unload is food, lots of food, so we could feed them lunch to the whole village. This is a gift from the Gleaners Ministry. It's a dry soup, and we mix them up together with rice so they be consistent and healthy food. This is the typical village kitchen while it's being done. After the kids finish watching the Jesus film, then we start to feed them. Thousands of them. And it's always interesting try to get them to come out in an orderly fashion. And most of them didn't have food that day or the day before. So you can imagine they're very hungry. Once you finish feeding the children, then we feed the teenager girls and then the boys. And after we finish feeding them, then we feed the men and the women. Meantime, when the girls are finished eating, the teenagers, then we show them, there's a sewing course, we show them how to sew their own underwears so that they will have no excuse not to go to school. And while the teenager boys will work to paint blackboards in the school, all over the school, so the first time in a long time they have brand new fresh boards, and the school teachers are very happy about that. This picture is just to show you another member of our team on the left, dressed in orange. This is Estina. She's the wife of one of our partners, and her role is to actually feed us the meals every day, feed the team. Once we finish feeding everybody, then we set the men aside and the women aside, and then we have George and Andrew, in this case here, teaching the men a course called DCI. It's a discipleship course, and Alvin does the same thing with the women. Once we finish with teaching the men and women the DCI course, then we get them together, and Winter, the guy in orange, will build a rocket stove, show them how to build a rocket stove. It's a way to some kind of a chimney or that would burn small branches and be highly efficient instead of burning big trees, and they don't have to bend down to cook. Also, at the same time, they will install a tippy-tap system, is a way to wash your hands without somebody else's help. When that's done, then we get all the men and women together and we teach them how to farm God's way. With the help of Otter, I explained to them this teaching that came from Canada and also been applied all over Africa. It's something new to them where they could use things that it's already in their hands that right now they're burning, and so we teach them how they could do that so they could have a crop even when it's not raining. So it's powerful teaching again, and just try to get them to think the right way. When it's all said and done, this is when we do the distribution of the scriptures. To the teenager boys, we give them an English Testament because they do learn English at school. To the women and the teenager girls, we gave them Illustrated Bible in Tumbuka by Josh McDowell. Powerful book, and that they could read to the kids, or the girls, the teenagers could read to their brothers and sisters. You could tell people are lining up a long time to get them. Once we finish that, then we do the men distribution of the New Testament with Psalm and Proverb and Tumbuka. These men and women will spend all day listening to us, teaching them God's principle as husband and wife and parents, so that they could have the Word of God at the end of the day. When that's done, then there's an eye clinic. This is Temwachi. She's the same lady that looks after feeding that village. When that's done, then we do the eye clinic, which is classes that we've received from churches in Ontario and Nova Scotia. And for many of these people, once we get the right prescription and the right glasses to them, it's the first time they can see fire or be able to read. So it's a very powerful ministry to them. Thank you for all these churches. When that's all said and done, then we get together for supper. That could be anywhere from 7:30 to 8:30. Meantime, at 6 o'clock, there was a Jesus film that was started for the adults and the families that gathers around the villages, where hundreds and hundreds of them would get together to watch the Jesus film, and there would be a message of salvation at the end where many hundreds of people gave their life to Christ. When that's all said and done, then we go to bed, start all over again next day. On behalf of that team of Good Hope Ministries, the Gideons, I want to say thank you for your prayers. I want to say thank you for supporting us financially, for the Gideons, financially, for the Good Hope Ministries, for people that give us classes so we could minister to these people. Many lives were changed. Many villages were changed. And because of you, many people have food for the first time in a long time. And we just want to say thank you. May God bless you all.